I said, I hope everybody sending donations because we're going to be logging off. Like I said, I just did this lecture on the college campus, so I'm getting ready to come and do it for my people. Like I said, these messages, I get paid swell for what I do as I lecture on college campuses. I come back and do this for small donations for my people. Just like if you will go to club and club hop. You'll go to the club and spend $20, $30 going club hopping and you say you're more and you won't give a donation to Cash App $KGB for the teachings. That's a problem for me. And so whoever on my Burning Bush Tabernacle, this is our Temple and School page. If you haven't gave a donation to Cash App $KGB, I promise you will be blocked. I don't care about no disrespect Negroes be saying on the internet because I don't care about none of that shit. I don't know you, you don't know me. I'm a teacher in real life, so this internet means nothing to me. This internet means nothing. But if you on my page, I will hope you give a donation because you will be blocked. We share all the literature. I have my own companies, mypdfbooks.com, where you can get all books downloaded to your tablet as PDFs, and you don't have to go to Amazon and pay all that money. I got all ancient books. If you've been following me, Moors just want some shit for free. Moors be having their background as a Golden Age of the Moors, and then I ask Moors, do you have the book Golden Age of the Moors? Have you read it all, or are you just using shit for pictures? They don't even have the book. The book costs $200. I have all these books converted to PDFs. So what's the purpose for Moors just jumping on my fucking page? No disrespect. You will go to clubs with y'all grown men and go to clubs every week, but jump on my page and won't give a donation. I'm talking to all Moors. If you're not here to learn, please jump off my page. Please jump off my page because I'm going to block you. All my muftis been blocking everybody, and I'm writing names down, and I'm blocking their asses. Europeans pay me swell, and I'm not going to sit up here and be doing this for misnomer Moors. I'm not. And they getting all this sovereign citizen goofy shit, knowing they don't know shit. I'm blocking everybody, so I'm writing names down. I don't care if Moors be on my page. I do this shit in real life. I just lectured this whole thing in front of about like 200 students at Grand Canyon University. They all gave $100 and they all got literature. So do you think I care about doing this shit and more jumping on my page and don't give a donation? That's why I'm not having Sunday school on YouTube no more or adapt class on YouTube on my pages. That shit is over. This week was it. If anybody want to learn, private Zoom. And all my muftis, they starting to download all my stuff on YouTube. I'm deleting my YouTube page. Once they download everything, I don't care about YouTube and all that shit, man. All the Moors, I've been doing this shit for years. Moors still lost. And Moors be following me for years. Talk about, I've been following you for years. Talk about they confused. Man, I don't got time for that dumb shit. As I continue to see Moors on the internet and stuff, dealing with all these criminals. I see Moors on the internet with all them criminals that be from China, talk about all they building. I said, these motherfuckers ran to China, squatting in houses and shit. And this what y'all love? That dumb shit. But it's okay. Y'all gonna learn. The European agree with me. I don't teach fake science. I'm a real official. They can play all they want to, but I bet you they won't come on over here playing around. Not with me. They can't, because they're afraid of the European. And the European is my fucking student. They're a son of a Muslim. They're a son of a Muslim. See, the rest of these motherfuckers is just fake. And y'all know it. It only be Moors that jump on my page. They always say something. I'm going to do this. But they'll never do it. Every Moor, I'm going to give a donation, but you jumping on my page. Just like when we have classes, and the more like, I'll wait till it be on YouTube because they don't want to give a donation and they don't want to come privately on Zoom. All that shit is over. Moors just be playing, always talking. And I said, that's what most dudes Moors do, just talk. Talk about what they gonna do. What they gonna do. But they ain't did shit. I always talk about what they gonna do. Oh, well, what about this? What about it? This is a school. That's why Moors is lost. This is scholarship, and they diss academia. What do your kids want to do? What do you want your kids to aspire to? Academia, to be professionals. That's why I can't get shit down. This ain't no shade tree mechanic shit. I go on the university campus and make them Europeans, them troglodytes, sit on their hand. That's what they are. They ain't white. They Albions and troglodyte. Point blank. Use the proper name. They call you misnomer, Negro, black, and color. Call their ass troglodyte and Albions and see what the fuck they say. They know. I don't play that shit, man. They say they're a caveman. They call this stuff a troglodyte. They grew up in caves. Call them that. Call them a troglodyte and an Albion. Call them that. But don't call them no white, because you white. That's your status and don't even fucking know it. Come on, man. Somebody talk to me. Moors is lost because they dealing with that damn goofy ass shit these niggas doing. Or file this, file that. All going to jail. Moors been following me forever. Grown ass men. Talking about what the fuck they gonna do. And I jump on y'all pages. Y'all all in the clubs. Got bottles of liquor. Acting like y'all rapping. Got fake ass designer shit. I told y'all I'll be all over the city. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I pop up in Detroit, motherfucking Vegas, California, because my organization, operation, all those places, I be looking at these niggas, and they be niggas in real life. They don't have no feds. It's everybody on here. I bet you don't have a feds. And if you got one, you got that bitch from Amazon or a fucking Masonic store. But I'm a sheik. We make the fucking feds. They don't make shit. The Masonic store don't make shit. They get them from the same place that I get them from. And my people make the motherfuckers. In misnomer Middle East. I'm telling you, when I go, I was getting ready to go, but this COVID thing, it's only one area where I'm gonna take you in the misnomer Middle East where they making them. I'm gonna go. I know the man. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna be out there for a week, right in the village when he making them. Before we talk about they Moors, where your feds? You don't even know nothing about the feds. I gather to compile all the literature for you can read and study and come to class, and Moors still out here getting their grown dumbasses in trouble. That's your fucking fault. They know not to come to me with that dumb shit. They gonna sit on their hands. Any grown man out here doing this fake sovereign citizen shit, man, y'all fucking stupid. And the reason why you lost, because you're not a student. It's just facts. Moors talk about they know more science, don't have none of the teachings, and then they're not dealing with a divine minister. So where you getting your science from? I know what these Moors doing, jumping on page to page to page to page. And when I'm gone, you're gonna be on somebody else's page, because we leaving dumbass niggas on social media alone. This shit is fake. All this goofy ass shit is fake. All these grown ass men, these goofy ass Moors TV shows, all this goofy clown shit, man, I don't care about debating nobody. That's for goofies. I don't give a fuck about what no other nation doing, what nobody, no other people doing no dumb shit. Man, I'm worried about what I'm doing in my tribe, and we going somewhere. All that dumb shit. What about this? Well, what about this? I don't give a fuck about that shit. I know who I am, and I know the laws and the powers that be respect who the fuck I am, because I defend the Constitution. Off the dribble. Off the dribble. I'm in a red state. I'm a Moor every fucking day. Not sometimes, not half of the times, 24 hours of the day. And then for my brothers that say they some Hebrew Israelites, the followers of Yahshua kept their head covered with their bonnet or their turban with the jewel on it. What the fuck wrong with these people? You can't agree by one commandment or pick and fucking choose. My people lost due to a lack of knowledge because we refuse to learn. We think pictures and shit mean something. I ask some more, and ain't no disrespect because I see things. A person to have a picture of the Moors, of golden age of the Moors, and I say, do you got the book? And I say, have you read it? Do you understand it? And then they get mad. I say, don't get mad at me. That's your background to your motherfucking avatar on Instagram. And I ain't talking about nobody. And they say they ain't even read the book. Or they don't understand what I'm saying, and they background be a motherfucking book. The golden age of the Moors. And I ask them, have you read it? Because I have them. I print books. And the person that had this on their background, I say, well, let's have a discussion over the science. Then try to call me on the side, well, I ain't read the book. I just like the cover. Man, I just heard of Ivan Van Sertima. Well, Ivan Van Sertima ain't just write this. Ivan Van Sertima ain't just writing no fucking Golden Ages of Moors. That's why I be telling people, man, we be all comedy. And whoever on my page, I'm writing everybody's name down because I'm telling you, I'm blocking people for life. It's just because Moors just jump on my page and don't give a donation, and I'm a real school. Cash App $ KG Bay. If you don't want to give a donation to my school, fine, get the fuck off. Excuse my candor. Because I only get this disrespectful shit from niggas. I don't get it from Europeans because I teach. Period. FAMEX. I'm writing all names out and you will be blocked. I don't care. You say any crazy shit, I'm going to tell your whole post where you at everywhere. Because when you jump on my page, you're a willing obligor. When you jump on here with that dumb shit, you are a willing obligor. Don't jump on my page talking stupid. I'll tell your goofy ass right where you at. I don't deal with that dumb shit. If you ain't here to learn, please jump off. And that's the way I say we're more just like to jump on here because they don't want to learn. Because if you wanted to learn, you would have been came to class. You would have been gave a donation. You would have been did something. Man, listen, I ain't here to debate nobody. I hope people understand what I'm saying. They said the first people here were from Asia. Science proved the facts. Okay. I think this person don't know what I'm saying. Asia what? Asia, Eurasia. What you talking about? I ain't here to debate nobody. I said you teach it in college because I do. I'm giving here from book, man. Like I say, I ain't here to debate nobody. I can care less, but that's what our people do. We speak. And I say, is Africa Asia? And if you agree and then or if you disagree, I don't be knowing what people be saying. They just be speaking. I say, stay in the context, please. That's why when I do lectures on college campus, if you ever see a lecture, people in the lecture just don't be speaking. But what we do, we can type, and that's what we do. We type. I wish nobody could even type on here. No disrespect. And the reason why I say that, because on academia in college, most people that come to my lectures is college students. So we there. So we doing research. We not just reading one thing and say, oh, this. We compare and contrast. And when we give lectures on things, we go do it for research. You know, we go do it for research. See, this person said giving out false information. He got to be stupid. That's why I said our people. Our people is lost. Our people sad. You see this book right here? This motherfucker gonna say the people from Asia. So what's Asia? Now he done fucked up. Now he done opened a can of worms. I written a paper too on Ivan Van Sertima. You know? Me too. I did a research paper on Ivan Van Sertima too. Me too. I know. These people, that's why I be laughing at these people. I be like, man, people be on that, but our people, that's what we do. I'm doing research. That's why I said you gather and you research. Did I say I agree with this? Did I say anything? What I'm doing? Research. In academia, you do research and you do peer review scholarly research. That's what I said. It's right here. It's right fucking here in your face. If a motherfucker listen, that's why I be laughing at our own fucking people. We just be talking. It's right here. It's right here. What you mean who wrote the fucking book? If it's on my IG page, I keep telling I don't have no fake degrees. Research me and then see. Research me and see if I got fake degrees. Fuck more science. Research me. I don't have no fake degrees. Bachelor degree, master's degree, PhD. I don't have no fake degrees. And I talk just like this in academia. So what we talking about? See? We just be talking. That's why I said I'm getting ready to be done with this. That's why I say the European agree with me. I never have problems on academia. Never. But when we jump on here, everybody got something to say. Why? Instead of come to the teaching. We've been miseducated all our life. I bet you these people eat all bad shit. I bet you they ain't operating on their own. I bet you they got a job. I bet you they black on paper. So what information I'm putting out false? And we doing research, we doing scholarly, we doing peer-reviewed research. If you in academia, I'm going over the history. What did the title of the book of the lecture say? Ask them. Just like if I was going over Ivan Sertima book, or just like if I was sitting right here and I pull out and this ain't even, and I'm just showing if I was doing a study or overview or a synopsis on this. Or if I was doing a synopsis on his book, Pascal Beverly Randolph. Or if I was doing a synopsis on this. Or if I was doing a synopsis on this. Or if I was doing a synopsis on this. On this. I'm just saying. So what on this? So what I'm saying, so what the fuck I'm saying to agree on? Our people fucked up. I told you, if I was doing a synopsis on this, if I was doing a synopsis on this, academia, what your kids would be doing, I talk about peer review, scholarly research, where you would love for your kids to learn. Man, research who Angelo Solomon is, the first Moorish Mason, the educator. I'm an educator. If I was doing a synopsis on this ain't shit but more science. So what do people be talking about? They ain't learned enough, man. And they get mad when they ain't learned enough to start running their fucking mouth. On this, if we study grouping, AKA book club, on this, they don't know shit. They just proved they was a fucking fool. On this, if we were doing a synopsis on something, so what they saying? And then I gather compile all the science to make it simple for your child can understand it. If we were doing a synopsis on this, if we were doing a synopsis on this, I mean, if we were doing a synopsis on this, since motherfuckers talking, more don't study and forget the books. I am the books. A synopsis on this. What do we want to talk about? Because I know Moors don't read. They just like religious motherfuckers. Huh? I know Moors ain't learned. He done open up a whole other chamber. The European laughing at him. If we'll do a synopsis on this. So what's false teaching? You feel me? What we talk about, y'all? What we talk about, y'all should jump on that man page and be like, man, shut the fuck up. If we were doing a synopsis on this education, this scholarship, this ain't no dumb nigga talk. Or no a whole bunch of Moors just talk about who the supreme grand sheik of this dumb shit. This what they said, this law. Or we do a synopsis on this. Or on this. Or on this. I mean, this is what the European try to hide. They lower level, but I show y'all our science way higher than this. This modern. I show y'all in our science where we way know with Paschal Rasha, our prophet, how we set this up. The ancient rite nobles of the mystic shrine. This is us. The European ain't nothing but a transcriber. A copy. They was initiated to all science by us. I'll show y'all the documents. I got they manuals, man. So what these Moors talking about? They ain't even, I'm a sheik from the temple. And forget the temple, man, I'm anointed and consecrated. Educated, everything. Anointed, been all over. I speak at all religious houses. And you see how our own people do? What do our 101s and our 102 say? What's a prophet and an angel? That's why I said, come from our own self. And you see how our own fucking people will get on here and disrespect our people. As soon as they ask get in trouble, they be, oh, yes, sir, master. Yes, sir, you. Oh, yes, sir. That's why I said our people ain't fucking shit. Point blank. I say it today. Our people ain't shit. They ain't even learned enough. And the European agree with me. They sons of fucking Muslims. I'm telling you. And then our people get on here just talking, just blabbling. Like I said, what we doing? I said, you clearly don't have an understanding. You clearly don't know academia. What are they talking about? And forget the books. You got to be able to live it. Them niggas out here getting in trouble. You see how these clowns are? I be sad for the kids. I be sad for the kids. That's how you know these dumb Negroes don't study shit. They just talking. Here go the European right here. Peter Lambert Wilson, Sacred Drift, a.k.a. Hakeem Bey. Hakeem Bey wrote all the Moorish fucking paradigm journals. All my muftis probably on my YouTube page. Negroes be lying. Hakeem Bey, the one that wrote all the Moorish paradigm journals, is a European. His name is Peter Lambert Wilson. He wrote Sacred Drift. It's another European that teach theology at Ohio State University and at another theology school, I think it's Tulane. Before the COVID hit, I was getting ready to go to the university and lecture on Noble Drew Ali, and he got a book out. It's called, his name is Spencer Dew. He got a book called The Aliyhites. Research it. I got he sent me 50 of his books. I used to just send them out to my people and be like, the European agreed with me. They knew about the prophet. Peter Moon wrote about the prophet, about Spendu mysteries. I'd be telling people, I said, I don't know what y'all talk about. This academia, this scholarship, just like Credo Matua from the Zulu. If you educated like myself and others, you were a medicine man, you were a shaman. Only people that don't agree with me is dumb niggas, religious niggas. What we talking about, man? You see how people be quick to open their fucking mouth? You don't want to study here? I teach this to college kids, and the misnomer African-American studies blow their fucking mind. Cause I destroy the Eurocentric and the Negrocentric propaganda. What am I come on here and say, oh, this the law? I said, we here at the study. This is a study group. Give a fuck what you believe in if you believe in the fucking rock. You talk about the original people came to Asia. Well, actually, Asia ain't even the original name, if you want to say that. If you really want to get fucking technical. It was all names, just like Africa had many names. Africa, a Kibilan, a Mexima, depending on your tongue. If you speak Zulu or Bantu, fuck these goofy niggas be talking about. You see? And I have a whole library, not just this is my home. I have a real library. Like you would go to the library and sit down. I have a real library, my own, private, with thousands and thousands of real books. I used to do that shit. I got professors that used to give me their whole library, like my kids ain't into it. Ancient books. I got a whole motherfucking storage unit I had to get to, full, top and bottom, all books like you'll go in some fucking body library. That's what I'm into. That's what I'm into. Oh, there's another copy of Peter Lambert Wilson. I told you I'll be making these for people. And most Europeans be into us way more than we into them. And that's what I noticed out here. That's one big thing when I notice out here. When I do lectures at the college campus, man, it be so packed. I told you I researched Peter Lambert Wilson. I mean, not Peter Lambert Wilson, but Angelo Solomon. Researching. See this right here? Remember I showed y'all that Masonic book or the European Masons talk about the ancient rite of the Mystic Noble Shrine? And that shit was in 1914. Watch this. That's why I be laughing at our people. I don't even know. Watch this. I'm finna narrate something to you. And all the religious people, don't get caught up with all that David Ford that they be all mad when you talk about that. I say I study under all houses. That's why I be laughing. I know real imams. They know what I'm saying is because I study. I study all holy books. I had to raise on level. I just don't wear a fucking fez and have this tassel on. You know? Well, yeah, I would say, well, but then as going deeper, I really wouldn't say disturbing a noble. You know, I understand what we say. 'Cause a lot of times, stuff like that was common. Like they just spoke about that. But as a put it like this, it's a lot of people that was done to in that time historically. As I started breaking out a lot of books and things, you'll be like, damn, 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 damn. I tell everybody I'm transparent. I'm a part of the Philosophical Research Society. I'm just introduced to a whole bunch of other things that a lot of our brothers may not be introduced to. But the one that's introduced to it and know what I'm talking about, especially your uncles and stuff, that's lower level Freemasons, 32 and 33 degrees, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And your professors and the judges, they all know. I bet you they all know me. And I bet you they all agree. I bet you. I bet you. I bet you. See, people just meet me on the internet. And that's why I say that's the problem I have with the internet is fake. I ain't out here telling no people to do no dumb shit. To go get no motherfucker dumb this, dumb that. Because that ain't real. And that's what our people do. That show you that they're not educated. So if acting white is smart, what is acting black? Dumb. You feel me? You see what our people do? And when I do these lectures on college campus, I promise y'all, it be packed. It be packed. I do this shit every Wednesday. If anybody follow me, man, you can go on my YouTube page, go down, man. I used to be in the college campus in the doctoral library. Now I just didn't have the camera turned the other way because I never thought to do that shit. That should just be regular. And then when kids see me regular, they be like, they don't like me because I think I'm smart. They like me because I'm them. And I ain't have to sacrifice or belittle myself to speak like this. I bring my table and chair and everything. So that picture I just showed you, it was Master Fire under the alias David Ford. Picture under the left corner. There are many Masons shown in the picture. The development of the Moorish Science Temple of America saw the influence of many high-degree Black Shriners, Masons, and secret societies, particularly the ancient Egyptian Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, started by Noble Ali Rofel Pasha and George Jones in 1893. These secret societies played a major role in the events during the late 20s and 30s in governmental change in America, to have played a major role in events during the late 20s and 30s and governmental changes in America, and have great importance to the events happening presently in respect to the subject of reparations and New World Order. Moore's Literature Pamphlet, Industrious Acts of the Muslims, page 17, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, interviews with Anderson L. of Baltimore, done by Carl Evans and cited in The Messenger. You feel me? You feel me? So that be the problem with our people. I told y'all our people fucked up. Excuse my candor. I told you our own people. I showed you the history. This was the 1870s. Didn't I show you how the Europeans, they science come way after ours? And when, I don't even know where I put it. I don't even know where I put it. I don't know where I put it. But anyway, I just wanted to show you a pictorial because it's so powerful. Let me see. Let me see. But I told y'all, man. I told y'all how messed up our own people be. From a lack of knowledge, they refuse to learn. I say, what do you want your kids to aspire to? You would love for your child to be educated by me because the European does. This ain't no fake scholarship. Only Negroes that don't know anything get scholarship in academia and learning and advancing wisdom. Anybody else against that, they under some religious dogma. like some Christians and a lot of misnomer Islam. I don't hate on nobody, but they just religious believe in something so hard and don't even have a mind to understand and read. And I said, that's not wise. Now, you believing in your God and all that, that's great. Damn, what did I do with the book? I don't even know. Damn, I want to show y'all it. Because it's very important, family. Let me see. It's very, very vital. Let me see. I know I sent it to my muftis, so y'all know what I'm talking about. See that? See that date at the bottom? What that date say? Can you see the date? I'll read it to you. The secret rituals of the secret work of the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine. The Imperial Grand Council of the ancient Arabic orders of the noble of the mystic shrine. Dr. B.H. Stillworth, 33 degree, Imperial Grand Potentate, July 14th, Washington, D.C. See, that's what these Negroes be under. See, it's a lot of stuff on here that's holy. Like you got the crescent, the scimitar. You know, they got the you know who that is in the middle. But look at the symbology. Look at this upside down. No disrespect, just like in Islam, they shit the other way. So look at this shit. So you see the date. See, that's what them Negroes, they'll be coming with that Dr. B.H. Stillworth 33 degree European shit. Now, see, I know them all because they all part of the Philosophical Research Society. See, I'm a Moor. I go like this with my feds like this. You heard me? 32 and 33 degrees ain't nothing but snowman wisdom. In meteorology, that's when water fucking freezes. Ain't no disrespect. You talk about something in memory of Haram Habif. Man, that's the dumbest shit. And talk about some widow's son. See, you believe that. I keep telling people the European is not the joke of masonry. They know clearly what I'm saying because they're sons of Muslims. They know clearly what I'm saying. They were the feds in clandestine. They were the feds in clandestine. Real shit. So y'all saw that, right? 1914. I just read it to you today. Master Fire Muhammad under the alias David Ford, picture in the upper left-hand corner. There are many Masons shown in this picture. The development of the Moorish Zion Temple of America saw the influence of many high-degree Black Shriners, Masons, and secret societies, particularly the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of the Noble of the Mystic Shrine, started by Noble Ali Rofel Pasha and John George Jones in 1893. These secret societies played a major role in the events during the late 20s and 30s and governmental changes in America that have great importance to the events happening presently in respect to the subject of reparations and the New World Order. I mean, so what we talk about? when goofy, I'm going to say it, when goofy Negroes, because I ain't call them dirty Moors, when goofy Negroes open their mouth and just start blabbing at their fucking mouth for no reason, it show you that there's something wrong. Because the European know it, they sit on their hands when I speak. I don't have no fake education. And the education don't mean that if my heart wasn't pure. But it sure is a fucking stamp. Let me give you an analogy. If my homeboy, it can fix car and can fix the engine, and you be like, man, yeah, and he fix it for a good price. And then I'm your homeboy too, and I can fix your car for a good price as well. But I'm licensed and all that, and got a shop, all that. I done fixed all these cars. I got a record for doing great work. And I'm gonna do it for the same price. I'm gonna do it for the same price that your homeboy gonna give you a homeboy deal for. But I got the skills. I'm a professional. Who would you choose to deal with? Because it's a choice. If you choose to go with the other and your shit break down and you don't get no warranty, oh well. If that's on you. If some shit fuck up and your tire fly off the fucking highway on the road, that's on fucking you. That's the assumption of risk. But for me, I'm dealing with the one that I know, that have the background and the skill and the withal. And when it's dealing with this wisdom and this understanding and the science, that ain't hard for me. What do our 101 say? What do our 102 say? See, that's the problem I have with these goofy Negroes. A prophet and an angel comes in the voice of the people. A prophet and an angel comes I mean, what? Why do we look at each other with a problem and then be yes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, to the troglodyte, to the Albion? Get your ass in trouble, get locked up, and be a goofy monkey. See what I'm saying? That's sad as hell. And a European that you appraise to agree with me. And they call me yes, sir. Call me she, call me noble. Because they under a certain cloth. Especially in Arizona. Because I know them all. You see how our people be? So let me get into the research. So I said, man, our people lost. What? Due to a lack of knowledge. Why? Because we refuse to fucking learn. That's like suicide. If your kid was doing a research paper and it's so-called black dumbass history, what would that Negro have his son read about or teach about? Will he be throwing Noble Drew Ali down his neck? I said no, some historical shit, some shit that they can use in academia and misnomer African American studies. But I would call it the golden age. I would call it in first century, because it wasn't a dark ages for us. It wasn't a medieval time for us. That's what I'll be saying with us. Ain't nobody did this shit to us. It's us. I'll show you a map of Central America. That's why I said these people to flunk out of they'll flunk out of history. If I was teaching them a real class, they'll flunk out. Man, they'll flunk out. Put it like that. You know it and I know it. Oh, I ain't see that. Oh, I was looking at these. I got this new dance in my file, y'all. Oh. But that map of Central America did not migrate from Asia. Figure 2 map of Central and South America supports these theses that the first Americans did not migrate here from Asia. I don't know why people always, and that's why I said, well, what the first thing? We came from Asia. What is Asia? What is Morocco? With Asia out of the picture, there is the most likely origin of departure of the first Americans from Africa or Southern Europe. Southern Europe is mentioned because Northern Europe lay covered with glaciers during the last ice age. As noted above, scientists ignore the Paleolithic finds in the Americas. So let's see the following evidence exposing the flaws in the types of thinking. Nina Jablonski agrees that the evidence shows that the first Americans did not enter the Americas from Asia in Alaska. She is an author, professor, and head of the Department of Anthropology at Pennsylvania State University. Jablonski says, excuse me, y'all, apologies. The current archaeological and biological evidence does not support the assumptions of the Clovis migration theory about the Paleo-Indian, Paleo-American migration routes. For example, there are no instances of late Paleocene, pre-Clovis fluted points at the entry points to the Americas, aka Alaska. Despite intensive efforts, research also has produced no Clovis-like big game hunting culture in the interior of Northeast Asia. Hold on, y'all. Yeah. You can bring it. You can bring it to me, man. No, that's cool. I knew you was coming. All right. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. My phone was ringing in the back. I'm like, damn, I know I keep hearing something. Damn phone. But therefore, there is no evidence and no trail that can be followed of the flute-laid Pallisto points from Asia to the Americas. It is now clear that the big game hunting cultures of the Pliocene did not follow the herds of animals crossing the frozen tundra migration to the Americas from Asia. Note, fluted points mentioned in the quote are spearheads shaped mostly from flint. They have grooves of them from their creatures, chipping away the flakes, making the point sharp. Mongolians' first entry into the Americas. So, before beginning the section, there will be a change of terms here. The scientific community, Gonzalez Jose, 2005, has labeled the modern Native Americans of today as Amerins, Amerins, Ameriinds, who date back to 3000 BC. This is the date that their Mongolian ancestors arrived in the Americas and began mixing their blood with the resident African, the Proto-Americans. The Proto-Americans. Mongolia is a country in East and Central Asia. When did the first Mongolians enter the Americas? The evidence shows that they first entered around 300 BC. This 300 BC date was not chosen and random. It is based on scientific analysis carried out by the following. Lahr, or Lear, L-A-H-R, 1996. Neves et al. Support for Lear, Neves et al. Was founded by Johns and Owsley, 1997. Steele and Powell, 1992, 93, and 94, as well as Powell and Steele in 93. Therefore, a non-Amerid craniofacial morphology score of facial bones not belonging to Amerids among early North Americans. Kane, Fox, 1996, and Horry et al., then in 93, they found patterns of genetics of non-Amerids. In 96, Heidenblick and Sutter in 97 found dental variations in South America. In summary, all the scientists above study skulls, genetic patterns, and dental variations to verify the first entry of Mongolians into the Americas that only began around 3000 BC. The journal in which the article defining the Holocene epoch emanates is from the Yearbook of Physical Anthropology, which is an annual journal of review articles that summarize and evaluate the recent literature and topics of current interest to biological anthropologists. And see, watch this. This one I be saying, man, I don't know what be wrong with our own people, especially Moors, because let me tell you what really made me do this topic today. I've been in all ministry. I'm from Flint, Michigan, and an older elder, she know a judge. What's his name? Oh, damn, not judge. What's his name? Judge Joe Brown. And she called me and she like 78. And she like, I got something I want to ask you. I'm like, yeah, because she didn't call me in a while. I'm like, yeah. She like, you know that Judge Joe Brown? I said, I see him on TV. He made a statement saying that he don't believe we from the Americas. I said that we ain't addicted to the Americas. I said, wow. And she said, you know that book you gave me a while back? She said, I done read that book. She said, what are we arguing about? I said, I don't know. She said, I just wanted to tell you that I love you. I sent you something. And I was like, thank you. And she hooked up, but it was just amazing. And it just, you know how sometimes things just be simple as that. Sometimes things be just simple as that. And I'll be like, wow, when we don't study enough. We think somebody that's gonna come up here. I said, man, show me some sources. Can't do it. Can't show you no sources. If the Mongolians did not come here during the late Pleistocene era, when did they reach Americas? As mentioned before, the Mongolians did not enter the Americas until the middle Holocene. Where did the 300 BC come from? So you got to look at the issue. The Holocene epoch began 10,000 years ago and continues to the present day. According to the University of California's Museum of Paleontology, United States Department of Agriculture, that would make the middle of the Holocene epoch 5,000 years ago, which is equal to 3000 BC. That means that after diligent scientific study of ancient American skulls, only during the middle Holocene, 3000 BC, did the Mongoloid populations enter the Americas. Therefore, it has been scientifically determined that there was no Paleolithic Asian migration during the Pleistocene times that ended in 8000 BC, as we have always been taught by American textbooks. So when these Moors be talking, they study. I say, where are you getting your science from? They talking about American textbooks. That's pseudo academia. That's why I said they flunk out with high honors. They be trying to give you some fake map in the textbooks. And that MacArthur textbook shit that'll prove as pseudo. When the Mongolians finally did enter North America from Asia across Bering Strait in 300 BC, which was 800 years after the Earth changing the catalyst, that occurred in 11,000 BC. The sheer large numbers diluted the blood of the first Americans who were already there, and had survived the catastrophe, further depleting their population. The mixing of blood with the Mongolians, just like when we talk about grafting, Mongolians had an effect on the Proto-Americans, and their physical appearance began to change. Since most of the Mongolians probably came on foot rather than by boats, as the Proto-Americans did, many more of them were able to enter North America at one time. They also were able to come often because of the convenience of walking as opposed to building a boat and sailing. This eventually allowed them to outnumber the Paleo-Americans. An important American document called write this down, a document called Wallam, Wallam, OLUM, or it's called the Red Record. And it corroborates this crossing. Did y'all get that? Did y'all get that? Talk to me now. Come on, man. Did anybody get the scripture? I mean, I said the scripture, but the text. The book. From Asia in the New World, and of the encounters of the people who were already living there. Historically, the Delaware, Indian, Elder, Winnie, Pola, and the Rocco, Oklahoma declared, the Wallam Olam is like our Bible. The Wallam Olam, or the Red Book, states that the Hongnu people were at war with the Yellow Emperor of China, whose name was Hongdi, or Hongdi, Huangdi, or Handai. In ancient times, the Yellow Emperor was known to have been a child prodigy. As he grew, he showed himself to be sincere, wise, honest, and compassionate. Without knowing the details of the surface, it looks as though the Yellow Emperor and his Han team followers were the good guys and Han Nu were the bad guys per se. But when you get the Hun side of the yellow people drove away the Hungnu people. So how does this affect the so-called sacred theory of the first Native Americans coming from Asia? The answer is that the Wallam Olam illustrates that the Mongolian Hungnu people arrived in Americas 2600 BC, which is 6,800 years after the Clovis artifacts were found. So if the first Mongolians arrived 3000 BC, then who were the people at the Clovis site in 9400 BC? Since the Mongolians from Asia arrived too late to create the Clovis. Does this not debunk the credibility of the Clovis first theory? And when the Hong Nung people left Mongolia in 2600 BC and began to migrate to America, they came wave after wave at different time periods. Research it. The most important fact to remember here is that when these Mongolians entered into Americas, they came in greater numbers than the Americans because they walked to Americas. The Africans came by boat in smaller numbers. 20,000 Mongolians are said to have entered across the Burnja from Asia at one time. Baldwin, 1871, agrees with the combative foreigners and wrote, and I quote, "Perhaps they, the Proto-Americans, found the country mostly unoccupied and saw there but little of any other people until the eruption of warlike barbarians came up upon them from the northwest." Baldwin, 1871, also goes on to quote a Colonel Whittlesey by writing, "As the mound builders race appears to have been further advanced in their civilization than their successors, whom we call Aborigines. Which group is the superior civilization? Question mark. That question should be easy to answer. What follows an example which illustrates the politics has no business in academia or scientific discoveries. As late as 1989, a report stated that 5 archaeologists from South America held back new data they found on older pre-Clovis date. It was reported that the reason these archaeologists did not make their older find public was that they feared their funding would be cut by colleges in North America who endorsed the short chronology of Clovis, the 9400 BC date. You see, the new data showed that there are people in the Americas long before the Clovis, which is an example of the long chronology. This date was most likely held back because it supported the theory that the first Americans were not the people of the Clovis, and their culture was far older than it had been reported. And this was the older, longer chronological date, as opposed to the short chronological Clovis date of 9400 BC. See? So what they talking about? My people lost, man. Another point. And sorry that portrays how politics pollutes history. It happened when the Firestone, one of the authors of the Cycle of the Cosmic Catastrophe in 2006, researched that. It was conducted field work for his book on a catastrophe that ended the first ice age. Firestone found concrete evidence of pre-Clovis people in Canada. And when he took this evidence to the local museum to be displayed, which he declined to name, however, they declined as it was too controversial for them. Again, what a shame is it when politics becomes a factor in the field of history. And here is the last nail in the Clovis first coffin, family. The Clovis points that were found 9,400 years ago do not match the points found in Asia. The land where they were said to have originated, family, Firestone 2006 found that the Clovis points are very unlike flint points from Asia, their supposed land of origin. Considering this evidence, family, how could the Clovis people have been the same people from the same culture, but had different flint points? In the last example, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, 1991, since they love Ivan Van Sertima so much, I just showed you Go to Age of the More. That's how I know these brothers don't be reading, man. I know they just be running their fucking mouth. Excuse my candor. You know it. Because if they did, you would be cross-referencing, you would be studying, you'd be like, you wouldn't be saying nothing, you would be a student. And that's why Europeans would be looking at them like, dude, well, the book he finna say is gonna quote what you say you be reading. You know about the golden age and the golden age. They're like, they be looking stupid. In the last example, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, 91, mentioned an example of political absurdity that occurred in the 1974 Cairo Conference, which was held to determine And you can show when them Europeans came, it was two African doctors. All them Europeans came up with fucking nothing, just running off their fucking mouth. That's like these Negroes be doing on the internet, which was held to determine once and for all just who the ancient Egyptians were. Of the 22 scholars invited to the conference, only 2 were black: Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop of Senegal and Dr. Theophile Obiang of the Congo. Do y'all remember that? Yeah, y'all. Yeah, y'all. Because I can show you the conference. If anybody don't know it, the conference is on YouTube. You can pull up the conference on YouTube. Right? You can pull it right on YouTube, family. And at the end of the conference, all agreed. However, the ancient Egyptians were black. The record shows that Dr. Otto van Sertima reported that just after the agreement was made, of the scholars still yelled out, even though they were black, they were white. I got some other books that they said that. Even though they were black, they were white. The example is similar to that occurred when Stefan Antoni wrote the article in 2007. The first Americans were black. The article is written very similar to the Australian American migration articles. After Aniti wrote and admitted that the first inhabitants of the Americas belonged to the Negro type, black, you do not have to think that they were of African type. They belong to a racial group called Black Asians. What does that mean? If Anani means that Black Asians do belong to the Negro type, but at the same time says you do not have to think they were Africans. What message was he actually trying to convey? Come on, man. Watch this. This right here, this part. What if you were told that the first Americans did not look like anything like what we were miseducated to believe? There is evidence of Africans in South America 56,000 years ago, and in North America, in the state of South Carolina, 51,700 years ago. Research it. Isn't that amazing? The Paleo Americans, what they were. 5 examples of it in the Americas, closer to the Atlantic Ocean. 50 was only 400 miles from the Atlantic. Man. Wow. I'm just remembering all this stuff when we were going over this in school, like shit, years ago. And it was so funny. Hold on. And it was so funny, man, how no European had nothing to say. And I mean, it just be so hard when I be like, man, ain't nobody out here tricking you. It'd be our own people. We're like, okay, well, where are we getting this stuff from? Because more science is cool, but where do people be getting that stuff from? Talk about that Asia. What they twisted Noble Drew Ali words. Oh, I don't know what they twisted. I don't know. I don't know, man. That entry for a Western entry from Asia, from Alaska to Canada, does not come close to the age of evidence in Eastern America. 56,000 year date emanates from rock solid evidence, excuse me, in a pre-reviewed journal. Pre-reviewed, aka peer-reviewed. I mean, I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. And why we won't come and have scholarship and this is like book club. I don't understand this. When our people be so quick to just open a fucking mouth, excuse my canon, I have to talk like this because my people are lost due to a lack of knowledge because we refuse to learn. What will anybody have a problem with us going over research and them Europeans pay money for me to teach their kids? When I just show you, and I ain't even showed y'all the rest of the, before I end, I'm just going to show y'all when I say we go over things for study. That's why I said our people don't know nothing. They caught up blinded. Don't understand. We be so quick to say something. Europeans say something, they be, yes, sir. As soon as your brother say something that the European bow down to, because all Europeans that know anything that's any officials, they sons of Muslims, and they only 32 and 33 degrees. The judge, or the referee, you like to call him, that's gonna lock your ass up. I bet you I know him. Especially if you come to Arizona with that dumb shit. I guarantee you. $130,000 years, 74 years before Africans sailed to Americans. All these dates when you just start doing things for study. They ventured out of the Mediterranean and find America. And if Columbia was capable of the venture, why were Africans not just as capable? See, this is what I'd be laughing at these Negroes when they not learned enough. They just be wanting to argue. And when I speak, the European, all those researchers you be seeing the Europeans talk about, when they be showing you all these boats, and you can pull up on YouTube and you see all these Europeans in academia, that's the same type of shit I do. And Europe and our own more to pull up, like you look what the Europeans saying. And then when I say things, they discredit it. And the European just be regurgitating what your brother's saying in academia. And they be at my shit. That's what I'd be like, what be the problem? We want the European to tell you who you are. But when your brother do it, the first thing Negroes do is say something, because we don't study. It's like if I was going over the book Signs and Symbols of the Primordial Man, if I was breaking wisdom down and going in the chamber, or if I was breaking down Atlantis of the Latter Days, an ancient Masonic book, what a person would be saying. They wouldn't even know. Everybody else would love to sit at the foot. But see what Negroes do, they just run their mouth. And everybody should call them out. Everybody should. The Bible said, the scripture said, we talked about it. If you study, your Quran talks about it too. That's why I be saying, we lost, man. We refuse our own people. Theophany. It have to be something in the flesh. I'm telling you, man, I can go on and on. The Native Americans you see on television are a mix of African and Mongolian bloods. When you look at that, every scholar agree with me. Man, I'm damn near done with my juris doctor degree in Indigenous People Law and Policy. I show you my books, the difference. When I finished my master's degree, when I jumped in it, they already knew. They were like, ooh, what group did? And I was like, I saw it just like any other thing. It's whitewashing of history. I mean, it's a real thing. That's why they know. When I go and tell people I'm not Negro black, they know. That's why I have the right to do what I'm doing. I don't care when nobody else agree with what I'm saying. No goofy nigger on the internet. Don't make me no difference. I bet you they be try and anything and identify as a Negro, and I bet I don't. Guaranteed. And I'm an official. I don't care about what nobody else think. I must be that. I must represent that. Me. The Indians you see have straight hair. And how in the world could they be a part of Africa? That is simple answer. A perfect example is to look at modern Aboriginal Australians or the dark-skinned people of South India. Both groups have dark skin, yet they have what? A straighter kind of hair. It ain't no hate. Some of the dark-skinned Australians even have blue eyes, don't they? I ain't saying that with blue eyes because some African has blue eyes. That ain't what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is what I'm telling you. We just stand in the context. And it's been explained by the science known as genetics. Right? You can have some Negroes say that blacks were nothing but runaway slaves who escaped to Florida and joined the Seminole Indians, which is, and he said he read that in a book called The Black Indians. Written by a European or Albion or Trail Jewish author by the name of Kotz. I told you I study and read everything. Some of my nobles got the books by Kotz. That's why when I do academia and I do books, I say, yeah, but yeah, I hear that. I can understand this. That's what in academia you have to do. You have to dissect it. Man, I go into the laboratory with my test tubes and my beakers. I can come out and blow up some shit and come out with the right shit. I hope like my noble said, I hope everybody being diligent. If you're on my page, please give a donation to our school. If you don't know how, you should please ask. No disrespect. It's Cash App $KG Bay. It's no disrespect. And if you want to learn, please hit us up so you can come to class Saturday and Sunday because it's not being viewed on YouTube or Instagram anymore. But it was by a European named Katz. And it is true that some Southern slaves did run away from plantations to the Florida swamps and were accepted in the Seminoles. Yes, some and others. I said some. The fact is that these runaway slaves joined blacks who were already in North, Central, and South America for 10,000 of years before Columbus or other called Indians. Watch this, man. Watch this. When we talk about Christopher Columbus, all that, they see this right here? Y'all ever had this? Y'all ever studied this, read this? So what do people be talking about when the evidence of who and where before who? So what people be all this arguing about just running their mouth, man? So back to, oh, and there, see, these the books they give you. Academia, look. I ain't laughing, but these the books. When I showed them, when I came at Regalia, I'm like, man, come on. This what it is. And I ain't even gonna show a lot of the stuff. Showing my books from academia but like I said, I be in their ass on that. Excuse my candor. Excuse my candor. But my counterattack is that the first document, it documented that African slaves brought by the Spaniard did not arrive in the Americas until 1520 AD. These slaves were imported because the Amorite slave population was disseminated by disease. By the late date Columbus arrived in the Americas, however, the Paleo-American Black Africans have been here for at least 56,000 years. So here it is revealed that the only Paleo-Americans were Africans. Why? See? The black part of the human family was the first to exist. This does nor make them inferior or superior. Just first. That's all. Just first. Thanks for the donation, those that gave. And the next account is based on an Algonquin oral tradition and not a tangible evidence. And I'm going to show y'all a figure. They say it was taken June 6, 1924 in Providence, Rhode Island. The picture is one of the Nipmuc, N-I-P-M-U-C, and the Narragansett, the N-A-R-R-A-G-A-N-S-E-T-T Indians. They both are part of the Algonquin family. A black Indian, Kontu, P-U-E, Kontu, P-E-A-U-W-E, told me that his mentor is the picture standing on the second row, the second man from the right, wearing a chief headdress. Kontu's mentor's name was Chief Sunset, whose English name was Ed Michaels. These people have an oral historic tradition. Poi or Pui agrees with the history written in their website. This website details thorough oral tradition that New England was settled over 10,000 years ago by the Paleo Indians coming from the Southwest, which other cultural groups who came later. These settlers became the Algonquins, which includes the Nipmucs. Just like so-called Hebrew, and I say that's a mixture of people. But that's why I be laughing when the Israelites, don't get me caught up in that, because we're going to teach that in Sunday school this Sunday. Moore's going to miss that. We're going to deal with how you feel. We teach. And then I'll let you make a decision. We shall learn later that the Hopi or the Hopi Indians of today live in the American Southwest. The Hopi says their ancestors came from the South and not across the Bering Straits. So it is curious to hear that these Algonquin say they came from the Southwest. And this takes us back to the Proto-American era that was far before the first slaves were brought here to North America in 1520 AD, 11,520 years later to be exact. He also told me that no one in the picture had ever been a slave or a runaway slave. Look, he said no one in the picture had ever been a slave or a runaway slave. You hear that? Also in the pictures, notice the black Indian standing third from the right next to Chief Sunset wearing a tie. His name is Chief James Cisco, who was a senior chief. Senior Chief Cisco and other black Indians live in a redwood house that can be seen today just behind the road figure when I'll show y'all the pictures. so-called Indian reservation. And it's a sign behind them, y'all, that reads, "These 4½ acres have never belonged to the white man." And when you study Chief Cisco's face, figure 4 for a moment, his genealogy is no doubt very interesting when you look at it. You got the European with the monument, just like I show y'all the Hebrew hill. I'm telling you, man, it's there, right? The Wallam Olam's date to entry in America's 2600 BC. Instead of using the Pau date of 3000 BC, it must be realized here that the Wallam Olam is only as accurate as the natives who originally wrote it and McCutcheon's translation. Come on, man. We can show the bones. I mean, it's just too much evidence. Even the Vikings and the Starlings is agreed that the Vikings discovered the Americas before Columbus. But when the Vikings first reached the Americas, they met a people who had already been in the Americas for thousands of years. They met a group of short Africans whom the Vikings called the Skarlings, Skraelings. The Vikings themselves said that the Skarlings looked like African pygmies. Research it. I'll show you some pictures in a minute. The evidence points to the Skarlings being in Canada and New England, not only as early as 10,000 of years ago, but also as late as the same period of the Lenape, whom they preceded. The idea that the first Americans were Africans from the East and not Asians from the West is a mind-boggling revelation. And covered earlier, with the first Vikings, also called Norsemen, entered Canada, they met short African people they named Skraelings or Skarlings. Excuse me, y'all. Apologies for that. Obviously, there are no Skarling pictures in existence today, but I'm going to keep looking. But it is safe to say that they look similar to these diminutive Africans from today, displayed in figure 7. I'm going to show you. It's the photography David Mendoza is seen with a group of Skarlings in the Rwenzori Mountains on the border of Uganda in the Congo, 1967. See what I'm saying? From where did the Skarlings, the Vikings encounter, come? On the way finding the origin of the Skarlings, the origin of the Eskimo must be explained. W.I. Morton, head of the Department of History and provost of the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg, Canada, is the executive editor of the Canadian Centenary series, which is 17 volumes long, which I got. The following data from the first volume of the 17 volumes, right, the Triggy J. Olson details the origin of the Eskimo. It is the central thesis of the book that the Dorset people the Tunic Caucasians in Iceland. They were the Skarlings of the Sajas, the Pygmies. And the present-day Eskimo are the result of the intermix between the Dorse people and the Tunic. That is, the Icelanders. See? In other words, the short African Skarlings, aka Dorset people, and the Tunic Caucasians from Iceland intermixed and gave birth to the Eskimos. The Eskimo did not migrate to Canada from Asia. In the West, as we have been incorrectly taught, they were born and originated in Iceland and Greenland in the East. The Skarlings, like the Eskimos, did not come from the West. They also come from the East, Canada. Their ancestors were from Africa by way of Western Europe. In the northern extremities of Americas, short Africans most likely entered eastern Canada in boats from Europe by islands hopping as the Vikings did. Right? Come on, man. Man, it's too good. I've been detoxing for a couple of days, not eating nothing, man. Just drinking my teas, because I got to drink my liquids. But so mind me, y'all. But it feels great. I'm going to show y'all what I put on my face, but it feels great. Then I get in the sun. But anyway, yeah. But back over in Northern Europe, we see that the extreme north of Norway was also inhabited by a race of Skarlings, or Squarelings. The people were the same as the African pygmies of classical writers. In the Greenlands, they live 450 miles from Canada. It was found that the territories either side of the Gulf of St. Lawrence and as far as Massachusetts were Squarelings. These people are called Lapps in some books. When I show you how Europeans, they name everything, in books you would be this, and books you would be that. But Moors don't know linguistics because they're not from scholarship. They just be arguing. Like the Moor jumped on here with that dumb shit, which I hope everybody got his name for y'all can block him. That's what our people do. They lost due to a lack of knowledge because we refuse to learn. You can never go to no study group and all that and just open your mouth and say some shit. Man, everybody, if you was in a real society like our people being, you came to the chamber, man, the Muftis be like, man, you got to go. You've been welcome to learn. You were here opening your fucking mouth. And that's what our people do. You got to kick their ass aside. The scriptures talk about it. I went over it yesterday. It be our own people. They stretch from Canada to the extreme part of Norway, or to the northern part, to the extreme north of Asia. And at one point, these small blacks were not confined, nor were they found only in Canada or the north extremities before the Vikings came. They were found all over the Americas, down to the southernmost extremities of South Americas, in the Tierra del Fuji, or Fujo, the South America map, figure 2. These short Americans were pushed down to the Tierra del Fuja, or Fijo, by the Mongoloids from Asia and or Amurians until they were eventually exterminated, genetically absorbed, or a combination of the two. Short Africans were found all over the planet in the 18th century. One of his voyages, Captain Cook, stopped at the tip of South America. Cook said the language of the little people sounded like so many guttural and clicking sounds. This is further evidence of a South American Proto-American linguistic linked to African besides the DNA evidence. You know what I mean? So what do these people be talking about? The short Africans of South Africa today speak with a clicking sound. The clicking sound was part of the ancestral human mother tongue. Divulging just a little deeper into the ancestral mother tongue, we see the Quentin D. Atkinson, a biologist of the University of Auckland in New Zealand, is one of the several biologists who have started applying to historical linguistics to sophisticated statistical methods developed for constructional genetic trees based on DNA sequences. Dr. Atkins finds fits with the evidence about their origins of language. The Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert belong to one of the earliest branches of the genetic tree based on human mitochondrial DNA. Their languages belong to a family known as the Khoisan, or the Khoisan, the Khoisan, and include many click sounds, which seem to be a very ancient feature of language. And they lived in southern Africa, which Dr. Atkins' calculations point to as the origin of language. The clicking language can still be heard today in Africa, to the Americas, and down under, where Australians Aboriginals make a clicking noise with his or her voice. This language can be heard in the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy. African Americans today who have never been exposed to the clicking language in any way click as well. A case in point, back in 2004, the rapper Snoop Dogg made the clicking sound in his record, Drop It Like It's Hot. It's called Ancestral Memory, or it's just a coincidence. The clicking language is almost language existing in the world today. That's why in the 17th century, when the Dutch settlers landed in South America, they described the Bushmen and the Hottentots as short and speaking with a clicking sound. Since the oldest mtDNA, an assistant professor of genetics at the University of Hawaii, Cans Ample came from a short Bushman or sand individual from the Kalahari Desert. We can say that these people are representatives of the oldest living branch of the human race. They spoke with clicks, moving on the northeastern Europe, Greenland, and Canada. Other researchers more specifically point out to the Twa, the TWA, the Pix, the Lap, the Innu, the Eskimo are all members of the same original African stock. David McRitchie, says these short mound-dwelling people must be Twas or Twa mixed due to the telltale presence of clicks. Some of them observed speech patterns contained. Remember that the Fegans, the Fuegans of South America still share the same M174 and D haploid groups as the African Khoisan. According to Finch and Walker, the Khoisan are short Bushmen or sand individuals from the Kalahari Desert. The original Fujans or Fujans also had dark skin and peppercorn hair, like some Southern Africans, right? As seen in the photography of an original Fijan on the front cover of the book. That's why in the Bukhari Hadith, they call you a razor head. I'm trying to tell you. For my Al-Islam brothers that haven't studied, no disrespect. As to how long the Fijans have been in Americans' paintings, artifacts, and charcoal residue found in Brazil. Hearts date back to the 56,000-year-old and age. Were the Fijians the same people as the Amerindians? The question scientifically answered by Perez Bernal and Gonzalez. They wrote, in summary, that the results obtained using morphological and molecular data find that the Fijians' population are distant from the rest of the Amerindians, who entered the Americas 300 BC, far later than the Proto-American Africans, 56,000 BC. This means that the ideal of the Fijians are genetically different from the Amerindians, not Amerindians, the Amerindians, also spelled Amrinds, and appear to have preceded them in the Americas is evidence. It is therefore believed that the Fijians are genetic brothers and sisters of the Khoisan. The Khoisan were featured in Eric Walker's book, The Cambridge History of the British Empire, 1936. Walker worked that the Shotsas supposedly coined the Khoisan name to identify a people from the same ethnic group. They were the Bushmen and the Hottentots, who both shared the features of short stature. Icelandic folklore says the first folks that ever were in our British Isles were the Picts, Picts. Another way to spell Pechts. They were very small. When you see in writing, when you see Mohr, they're talking about the Moor. I'm telling you. I can show you all ancient history where they talk about you. You just don't even know. In German, they talking about you all over. They were small people. The Finns were of the same race as the historic Picts. The Lap, the Finn, the Samoyed of Eskimos were all related. In the 18th century, they were described as black and wild in their appearance, as any Americans whatever. Do not forget that their Picts, Laps, and Finns were descendants of the Anu and the Twa. Can you see the logic following the evidence that the Eskimos came from the east, as did the fathers, the Anu and the Twa? For those who want to know what group is older than the Twa or the Anu, I shall differ to an expert, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries. His wife, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, says they are the same people. The earliest of our human ancestors were called the Twa, Sand, and the Anu. The people called the Twa are known by many names, and because of their primacy, Anu is yet another name for the Twa. So according to Winters, Sticks, McRitchie, Walker, and Finch, the Khoisans were related to the Anu, the Twa, Scarlets, the Bushmen, the Hottentots, and the Fijians. They all were the same short people from Mac Ritchie and Walker's works. But they love David Mac Ritchie and all this. How can you dispute what I'm saying if all the books is backing up what I'm saying? You see how asinine our people are? That's why I said they fail, man, with flying fucking colors. And you looking at yourself in the mirror. That got to be the saddest shit. And then you didn't pay me swell for what I'm doing. That's sad. That's why I say when I be telling everybody, I'll be gone in a minute. Because I'm going to be done with this shit. Because I don't look for notoriety. I care less for notoriety. When I do lectures at the college campus, it'd be way more people than more is on here. Way more. And it ain't about the money, but the donations be way above. That's why I can come on here and talk about it. Because I'm like, I get paid swell to do this. When I do lectures, students give 50, 100, and they get all the books. I come on here and do this because I love it for my people. That's the sad part I be saying. And then we don't spread this shit. Like people jump on my page that know people that know my people and won't say a fucking thing. That's why I say the audacity of us. Man, we messed up. So if a person to see me in their city and they been on my page and say something happened and my car get in trouble or something happened, you act like you don't fucking know me? Because you ain't got to know me. If something happened to you, I'm going to risk my life to help your ass. If your motherfucking car go in the river and I see it, I'm diving in that bitch because I believe I can save you. And people and grown ass men be following me fucking playing and know people that know me. That's my muftis and connected and don't say shit and jump on my page. That should be disrespectful. That's what I'll be saying. We play too fucking much. We play too fucking much. I tell people this shit all day. Stop playing with me. We spend our money on all other shit. And we won't give a donation to teachers, but jump on the page all the time. We messed up. But I bet you go to clubs and I bet you do dumb shit. No disrespect. And I ain't talking about nobody individually. I'm just giving a synopsis. And then I can go on to David Churchward, a British scholar. You know who wrote Signs and Symbols of the Primordial Man? That's why I be laughing at these Moors. They be like, oh, I love Signs and Symbols. He wrote something heavy. Well, I say he agree with me. He do she. I'm going to quote him in all my shit. That's why I said if all these scholars, I don't care what color they are, they'll sit right at the table. That's why I said this scholarship that I deal with, this ain't no dumb shit. You can believe whatever you want. Churchward, a British scholar, also wrote the Anu, were prevailed inhabitants of the Nile Valley. Hold on, let me write this other name down. Because like I said, I love everybody. But I'm blocking people, man, that don't, I'm starting to block everybody that don't show love and they be following me forever and don't say shit. That ain't cool. Okay. You can see the map of the Nile. And when I'm at academia, they have this all on a big projector, everything. And I don't wear a suit. I wear my regalia. Sometimes I may, depending on how I feel. But it's a trial of evidence that connects the short Africans from the Nile Valley to the Americans like a piece of puzzle. You got to research the Americas. Some sailed directly to Africa. Others took northern routes from Africa through Western Europe to Scandinavia, sailing to Greenland, and finally to the Americas, right? Along the way, some of these short Africans made a detour west to the British Isles. How did these first Britons, which David Mac Ritchie talk about, right, reach the British Isles? Some probably sailed, but others have walked. How was that possible? It must be understood that these first Britons made their way to Britain during the last ice age. During that age, the world's water levels were down far, lower than any other today. And that made it possible to walk from England to France. That's too fucking simple. Across the land bridge created by the much shallower oceans and seas. The oldest human settlement ever found in British Isles was in Scotland, back 14,000 years ago. Right? I don't know. You tell me. Greece began in 12,000 BC and was the very first documented Caucasian civilization with evidence of having megalithic structures. That is 500 years before Fales. When I gave y'all the book, when I tell y'all, I give y'all things to study. Barry Fales, when I say they come with it, but they can't come to a scholar because I deal with everything, but I don't believe shit in the book. I have to do the research. And that be the problem with us. I say if you if you dealing with the body and you dissecting, you can't say, oh man, we can't do with the body. I said, we doing fucking surgery, goofy. And that's what I be saying. You must be a student to learn medicine. That be the problem. But this is 500 years before Fales' mythological Scandinavian king's voyage to America to build the megalithic chambers. Rome begins in 753 BC. The Romans were the first documented Caucasians to sail out of the Mediterranean Sea in the Atlantic Ocean. They were said to have been sailing to the British Isles looking for tin. Romans did not reach Britain until approximately 700 years later, in 55 BC, as the Phoenicians and the Egyptians before them have been voyagers of tin before that. And the Bronze Age in the British Isles were from 2200 to 700 BC. You must therefore see that the Caucasian Celts entered the scene far after all of these groups. Further, Robert E. Funk, chief archaeologist of the New York State Museum from 1971 to 93, said there are no Celtic ruins in the New World. Additionally, evidence shows that the Vikings are the first documented Caucasians to visit the Americas, not the Celts, and that was not until 1000 AD, which was 2,700 years after failed Scandinavian kings made the voyage during the Bronze Age in 1700 BC. The excavation of 5,000-year-old wooden boat and abdoids in southern Europe, Egypt, was done in 1990, followed by the excavation of 13 other boats. When you see the European on YouTube, I think I shared it with my muftis, showing y'all the boats, saying exactly what I'm saying. And everybody watching the video like, ooh, he telling us what it is. But I bet you if I was right there, I bet you he'd get off the stage and sit down. I bet you. And if he a Freemason, which I know he is because I ain't going to say his name, he'd have to. But what we like, that's what we love. And we disrespect our own people. That's the teachers. That's some sad ass shit. That's some sad ass shit. Period. And I know people be sharing the European video all day like, look, I'm saying the same shit. And what would a Negro get on here? Acting dumb as hell. Our own people and say they Moors and shit. Man, you ain't studying nothing. It's sad. When I show you how they make look caricatures of things, but you see what they make them off of. When I told y'all the European Zachary Stitchin that wrote that book, the Anunnaki, talk about they some aliens, man, that's the Iberians. I do this shit scholarship. Just like the European I wrote, Behold the Pale Horse. I got pictures of both of them. They Masons. They always give you a little bit and then hide the rest. Let me tell you why people get in trouble. Because when you take the oath and you've been doing all that shit and then you want to write some secrets and then tell some secrets after you done been part of some shit, that's what your punk ass get. Excuse my candor, because you should have been real from the fucking giddy up. See, that's what I'm saying. I wear my fans in natural time. I don't give a fuck about no devil. It ain't nothing. I am the devil. I am the God. I keep telling y'all, I'm 33 times 3, ancient right of Memphis and Mizraim. I don't hide shit. This supreme wisdom right here. My tassel is not pinned down. I wear my shit in everyday life. I ain't took no oath. I ain't in here exposing shit. I'm telling you what I know. This is supreme wisdom. That's why I can talk like that and no weapon will fucking prosper. It's just a fact. Everything I'm saying, I got the right to say. Nine was saying was the king of Akkad, the second oldest civilization in Mesopotamia. A carving of this African wearing his bullhorn crown can be seen on his victory stele from the 23rd century BC to 2400 BC. This stele can be seen today in the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, if you ever go. So the bullhorn helmets were found in Africa 1,000 years before the Caucasian Vikings wore them. Yeah, look. You see the bullhorns? Chicken bull horns. Then a European Zachariah Stitchin to try to say all that stuff, the Anunnaki and some alien. And then our brothers be using that when they talk about they some Egyptology on that conscious shit, and they quoting the book. And Zachariah Stitchin, I say, man, y'all crazy. If Zachariah Stitchin right here today, he have to talk to me. He have to reveal himself because I know I'm initiated, and I ain't no lower science. It's just a fact. It's just a fact, man. You can find all this stuff in the African Egyptian heritage of the Vikings and African prehistoric Europe, part 1 and 2, retrieved from August 30th, 2011, from before BC, related subjects, ships seafaring. The Bible Picture Gallery, Nimran Sen, retrieved from September 4th, 2011, from BiblePictureGallery.com. And it's also another practice that many also have begun with Black Vikings. The filling of their teeth. After studying a mass grave somewhere in Scandinavia, archaeologists have come to the conclusion that the Vikings filled their teeth. According to National Geographic News, they got to tell the truth. That's why they hid a lot of shit, just like the goddamn museums did. When I show y'all within the Grand Canyon, they hid a lot of shit. But they show a lot of stuff too. Some of the oldest tooth modified come from Mexico, dating far back to 1400 BC. And in chapter 1, we learned that the Africans had been visiting the Americas since 56,000 years ago. Carbon-14 tests showed the first Vikings landed in the Americas after 1000 BC. What type of carbon? Carbon dating. It would be scientifically correct for us to conclude that the Caucasian Vikings could not have been in Mexico in 1400 BC, 2400 years later. If they first entered in the Americas 1000 BC, evidence of tooth fillings has been found as far north as the Chesapeake. Evidence shows us that the Africans all across the continent have a history of filling or modifying their teeth. Sub-Saharan Africans, tooth mutilation existed in Sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, and Angola, West Africa. Tooth modification was a very common practice among pre-colonial West African societies. Several African countries filled their teeth. That's how we cut our hair, all that. These niggas be out here looking like a barbarian, talking about this how no, man. We had barber skills, all that. We ain't out here look like no caveman. We did shit fashionably, beautifully. It looks like filled teeth or tooth modification exists in most parts of Africa. It spread to others when Africans began to leave Africa 56,000 years ago to the Americas and 40,000 years ago to Europe. It's also probably a safer bet to say that the white Vikings copied tooth decorating from the Black Vikings. I mean, it's history. I don't want to go all in it, but I hope you studied. I mean, okay, the Alcuinian or the Algonquian connection to the Egyptians, all that. You already taught that the Native Americans were the great hunters, but they did not farm, nor could they read or write. None of this was true. French Catholic priest Pierre Miller in the 18th century wrote a 450-page book in Mi'kmaq hieroglyphics in 1767 AD. I got the book too. And the Spaniard said he was one of the priests Rec Leon sent to civilize the Indians. 61 years after the priest published his book, the French historian Champollion Fiac, also the very first French Egyptologist in 1839 AD, but what's an Egyptologist? We'll talk about that later, published his first book on the decipherment of Egyptian hieroglyphics, aka the Metanetter, which this means is Miller wrote his 61 year before Champollion's book was published. Consequently, Miller could not have copied the Egyptian script. His book had to be an original. In the manuscript, there were hundreds of different hieroglyphic signs, and a considerable portion of which are clearly derived from and even identical with ancient Egyptian or the hieratic equivalents. Just like when if you go to the Cancun and you go to the Mayan Museum, you will see pictures. You think it's Egypt, but really it's in Mexico as well. But you will see what I'm talking about. He also says he has met older people among the Indians at the Old Town, Maine, who remember a time when writing was inscribed vertically and also horizontally. The vertical or the horizontal forms of writing is identical to the way the ancient Egyptians wrote. The Micmac Alcuin speakers most likely have much contact with these Egyptians, the Omic, the Manding, due to the amount of knowledge about Egypt writing and Egyptian words incorporated into their language. In the Midwest of the Indians in Oklahoma are part of the Great Plain tribes. According to Levi Strauss, 1978, the Algonquin tribes of the Great Plains share similar mythologies with the Shoshan, which means there is some sort of relation. The Utes are part of the Shoshai language family, but complexion-wise, they also had something else in common with the early Algonquins. Tradition says that the Utes were so dark complexion that the neighboring Amorites created a special name for them. They were so dark-skinned that other tribes referred to them as the Black Indians. One has only to compare them of the Plains Indians with that of the Shoshine to be convinced that they both derive from some ancient syncretism or synchronism, meaning combining different religions, cultures, or languages. The name of the state of Utah is derived from the Utes. You get that? Utes. Utah. Derived. The Algonquin and the Shoshone language-speaking people of North America are most likely related. I'm telling you, man. I mean, evidence displaying that the Oguans link with African and Mendane Egyptians. They came from across the sea and kept yearly sacrifices for their safe travels on the east to the north. They were the most heavily populated and widespread of all Amorites, suggesting that they were the Americans before all other tribes. It's there. Leo Wiener wrote about the connections between the Alcuins and the Mandi. I'm telling you, Hodges' quote is surprisingly accurate. The type of Atlantic coast Alcuins can hardly be determined from living individuals, as no full blood survived, but skulls found in the old burial ground show that they were tall, their faces not quite so broad, their heads much more elongated and remarkably high, resembling in the respect of the Eskimo, and suggesting the possibility that on the New England coast, there may have been some mixture with the same type. I'm telling you, because anytime you mix with something, you're going to find you. So if they skulls, the Atlantic coast Algonquin skulls, the Atlantic coast, if they skulls were tall as opposed to their height, the faces narrow rather than the wide flat faces of the Mongolian, and their heads much more elongated, Hodges described a Dalitic cephalic skull rather than a brachycephalic. Just like when you see the Omic heads, you're going to see some difference, but when you touch that blood, man, I'm telling you, the round skull is that example. Then he brings in a comparison to the Eskimo long skull type, the original Alcuin similarities with the Scarlings Anu. The early Alcuinians lived in the New Zealand and the East Canada, Canada, in that Canadian area of North America. And these were the same regional areas as the Scarlings were reported to be. All the stuff you can read. The Scarlings could also have been the first Algonquin, just as the Scarlings were the first Eskimos. When you remember in chapter 1, Olson wrote the Eskimos was a mixture of the Tunit, the Tunnit, the Caucasian Icelander, and whom? The Dorset, the Scarlings. I'm telling you, just like when you have your brother or somebody mixing with some, the Hopi, the Pueblo, the Nazis, the Dogon, the Navajo, the Apache relationship, all that. See if you can follow what I'm saying. You got to remember that the Dogon are descendants from the Proto-Manding people of Africa. On a similar note, Moors, the Dogon from Mali, Africa, have another connection in America. It seems that the Hopi, one of the Pueblo tribes, and the Dogon have similar clothing, ornaments, ceremonial masks, headdress, The Hopi also paint their faces, not similar, but identical to that of the Dogon in West Africa. And see if you can follow what I'm saying. The Hopi and the Pueblo are related. The Hopi, Pueblo, and the Dogon have striking other identical similarities, besides those that I gave you previously. They also have identical cliff dwellings to those in Mali that can be found in the Canyon de Chelly National Monument out here in Arizona. I'll show y'all. I've been plenty times. I'm going to show you the figure. Additionally, the findings of a hereditary study of the Hopi and Navajo confirms the genetic similarity of the two populations. Relatively, the Navajo and Apache have related linguistic and ethnic similarities, just as the Hopi and the Navajo are genetically related. Genetically, Navajos are more closely related to the Apache, using the transitive property of the equality. The large family of Hopi, Pueblo, Dogon, Navajo, and Apache are all related. Coincidentally, the Hopi, one of the Pueblo tribes, the Apache, and the Navajo all live in the same region in eastern Arizona. Further, the Apache have a headdress that is identical to the Dogon headdress. And if that's not enough, the Apache have a ceremonial dance that is amazingly similar to the Dogons, the Badu dance. The headdress and the dance can be seen anywhere when you watch it. The Apache's descendants still perform the Dogon Badu dance in Arizona. I'm telling you, I've been. I know. Around 50 miles northern to the De Chelly Monument, more Pueblo cliff dwelling are found in Colorado, in Mesa Verde National Park, built by descendants of the Tem Dogon do. You can see the connection. Just like my tribe, we have 10 acres in the middle of Vegas, and then we got 40 in St. John's, Arizona, up in the mountains, up all the way in the mountains. When I say up all the way, man, it's so freaking beautiful. You know? And the Hopi are another fly in the ointment that the theory that the first Americans came from Asia across the Bering Straits between Russia and Alaska. And according to their legends, the Hopi, or the Proto-American ancestors, migrated north to Arizona from South America, Central America to Mexico. You can't forget that the Hopi who migrated from the south are related to the Pueblo, the Dogon, and the Navajo, and the Apache. And if their ancestors are related, then their southern origins are related. And following the evidence, this again suggests that the first Americans did not come across the Bering Straits. Other overwhelming evidence shows only the eastern part of North, Central, and South America have the majority of the oldest archaeological sites, as seen in Figure 2, where I'm going to show you. And the data further sinks the Bering Straits first entry theory. When I talk about cartographers, when I talk about map makers, see, most of our Negroes not learned enough. All these Europeans that I wrote, they know what I'm talking about. They ain't nothing but transcribers. They have to shut up. Our own people reveal themselves as dunces. That's why I said I ain't going to be around no Negro. I don't care what they say. We got to run from that shit. I just be sorry for the kids. It's another piece of south to north migration puzzle. Earlier, I told you that the Dogon from Mali, or Burkina Faso, traced their descendants to the Manding. Remember in chapter 2 that the Manding form the base of the Olmecs. Remember I was telling that connection? As they enter Central and Southern America and South America, this line of reasoning points to probably that some of the Olmec and the Manding migrated north from Central America to the American Southwest, exactly as the Hopi or the Hopi. The Manding, who were related to the Dogon in Africa, became the Olmec in the Americas when they landed and mixed with the natives. And remember, the Dogon have similar clothes, ornaments, ceremonial masks, headdresses. Their Hopi Pueblo brothers. Also, do not forget that the Dogon also have those headdresses that and the dance as the Apache. So the Dogon again have direct similarities to the Hopi, the Pueblo, and the Apache brothers, who in turn are related to the Navajo. And this evidence demonstrates the relationship between the large family of Hopi, Pueblo, Apache, Navajo, Dogon, Manding, Olmec. Come on, man. And so in chapter 2 is a 9-point summary that showed the Alcuinian connection with the Africans, Egyptians, and the Manding. See how people be trying to separate us? That's what these Negro Moors be doing. Man, that's blasphemy. They're not learned enough. But I bet you their kids don't want to learn from me. Sad as hell. My people are lost due to a lack of knowledge because we refuse to learn. You look at me like as your brother. I ain't your enemy. And your kids been going to public school. I ask your kids what color they are. They'll say black. I put a white and a black dial in front of them. They'll pick the white dial. Just back in the day when I show you the books, The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys and Girls, they'll go to school and let these teachers teach all this Negro dead stuff and then have something to say. They ain't teaching their kids. Shame on these people, man. Shame on these people. Shame on our own people. We also covered the Algonquin connection of the Skurlings, the connection with the Eskimos, relation with the Manding Egyptian, Algonquins, Skarlings, Eskimos. Mandi are the common thread tying both large families together. So now we know that the two large families are related. See? You see? We are one large family. Just one race, the human race. And in the end, or in the beginning, if you go far back, we come from mother of us all. What, don't y'all say who? Lucy? Ain't that what everybody say? Yeah. It's just sad, man. It's just sad. So I hope our people do their due diligence, man. Get with us. Thanks for giving the donation, man. Come to class and learn. Cause what is there to deny? Right? What is there to deny? Right? We covered that the connection with ancient Egypt, the belief that Egyptians were in the Americas before Columbus, is second by Rafik Djirbahozy, Rafiqjerbarzbhoy, who dates the coming of the Egyptians to America in the era of the pharaoh Ramses. A major ethnic group among the ancient Egyptians, Nubians, were the Manding people, an original Negro Congo homeland in the general vicinity of the upper Nile Valley. Is probably as good as a hypothesis as any for the origin of the Manding. The Proto-Manding migrated over Africa by an ancient river system. This Proto-Manding migration had to have been took place during the African Aquilitic period. Researching. Brooks and Smith in 87 revising Sutton's 74 date of the African Alkalitic period. And he had evidence dating it, the culture pushed back from 9,000 BC, further back in history to 23,000. And later West African citizens were a continuation of the African Aquilitic civilizations 20,000 to 10,000 BC, according to Barton. See, man? So what are we arguing? It's nothing to argue about. You see what our people do? Leo Weiner presented evidence that the high civilizations of Mexico, Maya, and Aztecs had acquired many of the cultural and religious traditions of the Malinke and the Mambara, the Manding people of West Africa. Weiner discussed the analogy between the glyphs and the Tuxtula, the Mexican statuette, and the Manding glyphs engraved on the rocks in Mandiland, Africa. After Columbus' trip to the Americas, his son Ferdinand wrote a book about his father. I got all the journals. Adventures in which Columbus said he personally saw Negroes just north of Honduras. This was not only documented sites of Negroes, Europeans reported. 12 other Europeans joined Columbus in reporting that they saw or heard of Negroes when they first visited America. The trip from Africa to America is not as difficult as one would imagine. The waters of the world's oceans are not static. They move. The particular part we are concerned with is the movement of the medieval Atlantic Ocean, or the medial of the Atlantic Ocean, excuse me. And it's well known for some West African seals a bottle with a note and it throws it in the Atlantic, it will eventually reach the Americas. Why? Because the current in the ocean move like conveyor belts between two continents. And it's explained in print as well as two illustrations in Van Sertima's book in 92. There was so much traffic on the Atlantic in 17th century that when the first few European explorers saw so many African sailors, which the Europeans have backed me up, they gave the Atlantic Ocean the name Ethiopic Ocean. Ethiopic Ocean. The Indian Ocean was once called the Eastern Ethiopian or the Ethiopic Ocean by ancient map makers, or AKA cartographers. The cartographers was the one that was there. That's why I be laughing at Negroes. I say, okay. I said, you're going to get a court reporter attorney on the British Anatomic Registry when you get in trouble. And you're going to say, yes, sir. You're going to let one of the Europeans teach your kid when they go to one of them universities and tell them they black. But them teachers ain't going to be able to wipe their ass with me. Excuse my candor. And if you go to law school, that's because you passed the bar. Don't mean shit. Columbus Day, the Persian Gulf was similarly named the Ethiopian Sea. And then you see a picture of the map, it reads, as late as 1650, the Southern Atlantic was called Ethiopic or Ethiopian Ocean. Researching, and most of Africa, as far as South Africa, was called Ethiopia. Research it. But they love Noble Drew Ali so much. I said, I love the prophet too, but I bet you if the prophet right here, the prophet would be like, yes. I'm telling you, I'm dealing with wisdom. Got time for the dumb shit. For explorers during Columbus, the time according to one source, the continent of North America was known as Melanesia or Melanesia or Melanesia, Melanesia, which means land of the people of melanin, simply because the America of the day was the country of the black man. Just like all the books I'm showing y'all about health and things, melanin, the chemical key to blackness, and they got that book only left for $1,100. But when I'm on college campus, all the students be getting it from me, paying nice money. They like, well, it's $1,100 on Amazon. We can get it from you for PDF for a nice price. You would print it for us for this nice price. We'll give you, some of the students be like, well, I'll just give you half and you print it. I'm like, sure. And we be trying to be cheap. That's why I say, man, our people lost, but they'll buy a belt or a hat or smoke that shit up. And you can't confuse the ancient name for North America with the islands of the Pacific Ocean. The first Melanesia or Melanesia was the ancient name for North America. Please remember that the Olmec civilization was multiracial. You got to remember that. When they talk about some Hebrews or this, some ancient Hebrew, I say, well, man, what you talking about? A Hebrew is a mixture of people. Fuck you talking about? That's why I say we're going to deal with the scripture the next in the DAP class. And we're going to do it a Sunday for the Christian from the text for these brothers, for we can see what are they studying. I don't know. The Mandi people who formed the basis of the Olmec people and the Cushites that founded the 25th dynasty, an Egyptian dynasty, were both from the Nile Valley. They mixed with the Proto-Americans and the Amerindians or the Amerindians. And that goes without saying that the date of the Proto-Olmecs, the Mandings, originated the first arriving from the Pacific to the West is not evidence-based. The evidence displays that they arrived from the Atlantic in the East, as did the earliest Americans, as demonstrated earlier in the science. Is there any other relevant information that will solidify the ancient Americans, more precisely, the Western Hemisphere connection with Africa? Yes, there is. Gold, Columbus, son of Ferdinand, also wrote the black men carry spears whose tips were made of guanin, Guanan, which was the native word for gold. Ask them. 13 West African countries use the word guanin or guanin, Guanin, for the people in the Western Hemisphere and Western Africa. Columbus then sent a sample of the gold spears back to Spain. When I talk about one of the biggest wars in history is the war of Ferdinand and Isabella. I got the books. All my elementary students will sit here. Man, I had like 6, 7 elementary students. They'll sit right here and laugh with any adults talk about they know something. I don't even talk about more science than them. I let them know who they are. They'll laugh at these grown men like, you would be stunned when you read what Columbus found out. The gold under spear tips was not solid gold, but a metal alloy. An alloy is a collection of several metal melted together. And the formula they used to make their spear tip alloy was of 32 parts. 18 were of gold, 6 of silver, and 8 of copper. And what's interesting is that with the identical formula the West African used. And is it coincidence, or does it show a metallurgical connection between these West Africans in this Western Hemisphere? I showed y'all other documents. Didn't I? Did I show you? Let me see. That's why I'll be laughing. The European agree with me and laugh. Your own people be lying to you. What'd I say? The real Indian is a Negro, aka the Blackamoor. They all backing me up. The Nation of Islam had this in the 30s and the 60s. They know I'm telling the truth. It ain't nothing to dispute. The mathematical formula that will be used to clarify this point is called the transitive property of equality. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. If the Egyptians and the Manding are related, and the Manding and the Olmecs are related, then the Egyptians and the Olmec are related. That's elementary science. That's why I be laughing at my brothers. I'm like, dude, this shit ain't hard. I teach this. I get paid for this. And I come back to my people for donations. That's why I said I'll never die poor, because I just go to Europe where people like the science. That's why I said I do this on YouTube and Instagram, and our people don't spread this shit. All the same people. From hereafter, when one of the groups is mentioned, their reference includes all three. That's why Nicholas Leon, an eminent Mexican authority, reports on the oral traditions of his people, according to some whom they say the oldest inhabitants in Mexico were blacks. There is still a pre-Columbus African presence in Mexico. Even today, there are an ancient people called the Hikuos or the Hikholos, Huichholes, aka Black Mexicans, in the Mexican Sierra Madre Mountains. While most of the medium height with varied skin shades, some have retained their darker skin tone and are of diminutive stature. The Hikholos people are said to have migrated from the eastern part of Mexico near the ocean before the Aztec region. It was the Hikholos who first made the tipari, a stone disc construct to conceal an offering chamber of the underworld. The tipari was engraved with the image on an eagle eating a serpent. An encounter of divine ancestors took into Mexico City, where they gave it to the Aztecs. Antonio relates that the Aztecs, not the Spaniards or the Mestizos, as one might think, then placed the image of the eagle and the serpent into the currency of Mexico as the ubiquitous national seal. You can cross-reference it with Van Sertima, African Presence in Early America, on page 79. You can cross-reference it with Sleeper and Smith, Contesting Knowledge, page 197. It's a lot. So when brothers don't want to study, that tell you right there what they under. Religious dogma. They're here to be a heckler. I mean, I got credible sources from ancient copper mines, prehistoric copper mining, Egyptian in the Grand Canyons. I told y'all, when I was finishing my dual master's degree in first century history and religion and linguistics, man, we went to the Grand Canyon. Author David H. Childress tells the story backdates April 5th, 1909. The article appeared in the Phoenix Gazette newspaper stating that an Egyptian rock cutting cave has been found in the Grand Canyon. Unless the Egyptian cave was a complex hoax, the article is very convincing. I've been there. It goes on to say that G.E. Kicklin claims to have found a cave cut out of solid rock, as the ancient Egyptians used to make in the Valley of the Kings. The story claims, and I got a lot of the Valley of the Kings books and the Valley of the Pharaohs. If y'all ever heard of Deuce Muhammad, who our prophet was inspired by, I got all Deuce Muhammad books. Deuce Muhammad was a journal. I got all his journals, all his African-American journals that he wrote. And Marcus Garvey wrote for his journal. I'm telling you. That's why I be laughing at our brothers and sisters that be coming playing. If anybody was in the flesh, they'd be sitting right here because they're dealing with reign supreme. They know this. The story claimed that archaeologists from the Smithsonian Institution agreed to finance the exploration, just like the Smithsonian. I got all the books and the documents of the big bones. They hid all this shit. The cave was found to extend a mile down into the bowels of the earth and contain hundreds of rooms and series of catacombs. Some of the objects found were war weapons, copper instruments, sharp edges, and hard steel. I'm talking about all type of little gold monuments. Statues indicate high state of civilization reaching by these strange people. These Egyptian caves was not only anomaly. There are several places in the Americas where caves are cut from solid rock and mummies are kept in a crypt or catacombs underground. In Springfield, Arizona, the catacombs were found underground, 2 to 3 acres in size. One room was 30 feet long and 30 feet high. Archaeologist John Hannon said the catacomb contained hundreds of skeletons. So what is there to deny when are you getting scholarship right here? When a European pay me swell and a goofy nigger will jump on the internet that's talking. I bet you they want their children to be taught by me. Another place where mummies were found was in the tunnels beneath the modern city of Lexington, Kentucky, in a chamber 300 feet long, 100 feet wide, and 18 feet high, inside the lay idols altars. The oldest mummies found so far in the Americas are the sophisticated mummies found in the desert of North Chile that are dated to 11,000 years old. I mean, it's too much. So I don't understand what we be arguing about. They try to separate us with religion and that belief system. Well, I ain't here to argue over nobody's belief system. The Portuguese mound and the dolmen, look at all this stuff all over the world. So what are we talking about, man? African structures in Central and South America, the Great Pyramid of Egypt and the Pyramid of the Sun Bays perimeter measurements are almost exactly to the same, but the Giza Pyramid is much taller. The Teotihuacan complex contains a carving that represents the Egyptian god Bis with his tongue sticking out of his mouth. He is a dwarf, suggesting either dwarves or Egyptians who recognized the god Bis built the pyramid. Another depiction of the dwarf god Bis is found 224 miles southeast of Mexico in Planique, if I'm pronouncing it right, where there is a temple of the sun. Inside is a relief depicting Chanbalun and his father, the famous Pakal Vutan, revering 2 crossed arrows and a symbolic shield hovering between them. And there is a face on the shield with his tongue out in Bis, Kali fashion. And this can be seen in a third example, in the Egyptian, in the museum in Cairo on King Tut's stool. In his tomb, the same face, family, research it, with his tongue out as well. Now this ain't Kawinky Dink. A fourth example of the dwarf with his tongue out in Bis, Kali fashion can also be seen in the middle of the so-called Mayan calendar. Look at it. Y'all got the Mayan, what y'all pull out? You see the Mayan calendar with the hand? Come on, man. This shit is too simple. You got to agree with me. If we in church, we are in a chamber. People talk about the adapt chamber, understanding the clear understanding of history. These dwarfs with their tongues out are examples that illustrate that there is a connection between the Mayans, the Egyptians, the Olmecs, and the dwarves. You got to understand this ain't no goofy shit you see on TV, no dwarf goofy stuff. You got to understand that the Mayan legends that said a dwarf built the pyramids of the magician Exmel, right? Uxmel, right? Just across the Gulf of Mexico in Yucatan, on the same latitude of Mexico, the Maya during their pre-classic period built pyramids over the top coverings, the older Olmec pyramids, to disguise the Olmec origin of the pyramids. And it was demanding the Olmec who brought the pyramid building religious technology, and writings to the Mayans from Africa. And the Maya looked upon the Olmecs as gods. For example, family, several Mayan gods were actually Negroid and characterized as having very dark skin. Ikunan and Exman, I might be pronouncing it wrong, Ekchuhah, and Exman, Xaman, are perfect examples when you look at it. The Maya also has several black kings. Fishfin, Istamani, Itzamnj, Baalam II, Quequa, Isabel, Kenichi, Akal, Munab III, Kenichi, Tabu, Slow III, Kenichi, Janab, Pakel II, Aksun, Balel IV, Chan Mon II. This gives us a different view on the Maya, who obviously must also have been multiracial and integrated to begin with. So, as I close, man, I don't got time, man, to be. That's what I said. My people are lost due to a lack of knowledge. They refuse to learn. This picture of the American is in fucking museums and shit all over the world. The only people know this all over but us. And we get on here and argue and have debates. That shit is sad. Because I can go even deeper with the wisdom, but I ain't wasting my time. I gave everybody 2 hours, and if I would have been on the campus, it would have been stupid. Everybody should give a donation to Cash App, $KGB, because I've written everybody's name down, and I give y'all gratitude. And I said, y'all going to miss Sunday school, y'all going to miss that class, and I hope y'all who want to be our private guests and join us live on Zoom. I hope you want to, man, I said I'll do these lectures on books and things for we can study, and all the books, the science I have. That's why I tell more when you give donations, I'm going to give you something. It might not be the official book because some of them I haven't converted yet, but you will get literature. If you give donation to Cash App, $KGB, it's no way I can be listening to somebody for 2 hours and won't do nothing, but you will go to church this Sunday with your mom and them and give the motherfucking preacher money and get dressed up. And you sit here in the confinements of your home, especially people that have been following me that know my people. That shit disrespectful. I don't care how many or how little people on here. Because with people that's on the same level, we can do just as much as 1,000 people bullshitting. 10 people can do it and make it happen. If we on the same level, vibration, because we currency. If not, I'm not here for you. That's why I write everybody's name down on YouTube, Instagram, everything. So if we're not here for a reason and we're not here to learn, I'm not for you. And I give you gratitude, man, for taking 2 hours out your day. But if it's not worth nothing to you, I give gratitude. I give gratitude, man. So with that being said, everybody on our Temple and School page that I know connected to my people, that I be seeing people and they don't never say nothing to me on Instagram. And I'll be like, man, I don't know people IG handles. And I'll be seeing them friends on Instagram with people that I know. That's my muftis. That shit disrespectful. Real talk. And that being said, man, more science ain't just no whole bunch of damn Noble Drew Ali shit. Excuse my candor. More science just nobody talk about some who the supreme this and all that. Man, I don't got time. I don't care about all that shit. I know who I am. I teach the science. I have a school. I have muftis. There's no reason for no grown people that connected to my people to still be here and haven't did nothing. That show you playing. No disrespect to no one. And then I've been blocking people and they jump on my Temple and School page. That's how I know what I'm saying. That's how I know, because some people I done blocked and they on my Temple and School page and they friends with some of my muftis. That shit disrespectful. And I said, we'll go to clubs, we'll drink, do all that. And you can do all that. But you telling me this ain't worth nothing to you? Because if it ain't, why would you be here for 2 fucking hours? And that's why Moors don't come to class in school. But they'll go to church. And they'll be learning. And they out here play around and get abused. Just like our new brother, Dantes is saying. He's like, everybody should be under the sign. He's like, these brothers that's Freemason, he's like, they lying. And I said, I know. The European is laughing at them because the European will tell you clearly, if you initiated like myself and others, that they are son of a Muslim. They laugh at us. Even our empress, that's Eastern Stars, they laugh at them. And this is a fact. I teach the science in a proper way. I'm not saying Negro, black, and color, but I'm giving a historical synopsis on something. I'm not saying pertaining, when I talk context pertaining to nationality and all this, I didn't say that. That's why I don't understand people. When they hear the word black, they be going on nothing. I say, stay in the fucking context, but we won't. That's why most of us can't learn. Just like one of the ancient books, Russian Icons, when I showed y'all on YouTube and I showed y'all the brother was narrating on it, called them ancient blacks. You see, I corrected it. I say, just because they skin with that color, they didn't call it ancient blacks, because David McRitchie attached to it as well. I just told y'all they were Iberians, Britons, just because they skin with that color. They didn't call themselves blacks. So when people say that, they just looking at the skin and say blacks, black, blacks. But a lot of them were the intermixer. I'm saying, I'm giving a synopsis. So when you deal with Russian Icons, one of the expensive books in the world, well, they say in the world, costs $3,000. I hope a person will be following what I'm saying. Because in the next context, when we talk about nationality and race and status, that ain't what I'm talking about. That's why I say Moors do not know how to stay in the context. They be gone. And that be our problem. But with that being said, all my people, y'all people following me, please let them know, because I'm continuing to block people, man. And like I said, I love everybody, but we've been doing this too long. And you're welcome to be my guest for Sunday school and the DAP class privately on Zoom, because it's not going to be live on anymore on YouTube and Instagram. And you're going to be missing it. I'm telling you. So with that being said, I love everybody that's been here. But if Morris don't seek out, I'll give y'all a chance to say something. Please, Muftis, write everybody's name down. I ask y'all this every week. Please do that for us. Because if people be here for an hour and they be here every week, we can ask them why they're here. And if it's not worth nothing to them, they don't have to come back, and that's okay. And we don't have to disrespect each other. But when we do things and we go give our money to other shit and play around and do all that, and we say we Moors, and then all the wisdom and the science that comes with it, and you can be part of it, and the gift, you don't have to accept my gift. Hold on. Yeah. What's up? I'm good. What you getting? I don't know. Just a little something. Nothing major. Just a little something. Nah. Yeah. Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I got some. All right. Yeah. My bad. But please write everybody's name down for me, y'all. And I give gratitude. I've been opening my door and doing this, courting everyone. It's not a problem with us doing this. It's not a problem with us sharing this. They're not going to teach your kids none of this. And then a proper science, they're not going to teach your children that. They're not going to teach you none of the metaphysical and connecting yourself to the creation. They're not going to teach your kids this. I'm telling you, and I get paid swell to do this. And I come back to my people and we sit up here and don't spread it. And the first thing our own Negro get in here and talk about this and that and the other, I said, you know this nigga ain't learned. Excuse my candor. To get on there and a this day brother, that's an elder and a scholar. That's what I tell people. I be like, I don't understand what these brothers be thinking. I said, Allah done bless me. I'm 45 years young for a reason. I done survived Flint, Michigan, the streets. A lot of my family didn't make it. My baby brother, Akil Jelani Goodman Bey, didn't make it. My cousin, Miguel Swain, didn't make it. My homie, Michael Blackmore, didn't make it. My homie, Mike Ville, didn't make it. His brother, Marlon Ville, didn't make it. And that's just 5 of like, before I even got in my 20s, well, in my 30s, that's right there connected. I seen my homeboy, Larry Coffey, get his shot in the head and he blind now. So what I'm saying, man, I don't talk about that. When the kids know me from my city, they respect this wisdom. Europeans respect this wisdom. I'm a pillar in my community. This ain't just internet. That I tell people, it's a joy. It's a joy. My family be like, when they go play, they be like, man, why do you bring that? I said, because they know what it is. They sons of Muslims. especially in Arizona. It's our own people. That's why I said it's our own people that got us fucked up. It's our own people that look at each other like fucking food. When I go places, like I was telling my Empress, I said, I love being in Arizona. Because if I put out all my toys and do this, man, somebody will try to take me out here. It ain't shit in Arizona. Because I'm a grown man. I'm telling us, man. And I just don't have patience for us to be playing. So I love everyone that's joining us, man, and joining us every time. Like I said, I'm going to be jumping on here doing these lectures sporadically, especially on Holy Day. I'm probably going to do maybe 2 or 3 a week, depending on my schedule, because my schedule is open. I'm doing a lot of stuff from home now, which is amazing. But I'm going on campus, only be on campus 1 day a week, and that's Wednesday. I try to be 2 hours, but it'd be crazy because all the stuff that I have, and we talk on specific topics, and a lot of those college students are struggling with writing APA format. If you're a kid in college, they know what I'm talking about. APA format is an academia way of writing, and a lot of them don't know how to write in that format. A lot of them don't know how to do annotated bibliographies. And then now they have this system that the kids have to turn their paper in. It's called Turn It In. The Turn It In system see where you got all your information from. And if you do it word for word, it say you plagiarized it. And your paper can only be like less than 10% of plagiarism. That might be a couple of words that might be similar, but not too much. You have to know how to take that and put it in your own words. Just for instance, if you were taking if you was taking microeconomics with me or stats, and you know how to do and you passed a little test, you might be cheating, whatever. And I say, okay, well, after you might get an A in the class, you say you're so smart, we'll do a capstone. A capstone is they're doing a synopsis on everything that you know. And that's what I had to do in academia and everything, which made me sharp, even in law. That's why I tell us, man, most of our brothers that's Moors, they couldn't even sit down with nobody because the first thing Negroes be trying to do is talk what they know. The same thing they do with the fucking police. That's why them dumbass niggas go to jail. You get put up by the police, man, shut the hell up. You got the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be put against you in the court of law. But you want to come with all this shit. Do you know the law? Do you know the law? No, you don't know the fucking law. I don't give a shit. All that stuff means nothing to me. That's why I say I never debate a fucking idiot. I don't have time for that. I do not waste my time with that comedy shit on the internet. I do this in real life. An educator. I teach science. We operate right. We own shit. I'm a divine minister in real life. I told people, forget the Moorish fucking science. I'm still a divine Moorish minister in real life. In real fucking life. In real life. Not no internet. I give a fuck who follow me on here. This shit don't mean nothing. I love my moochies. I love the people that I help in real life and the people that I educate and all the community service that I do amongst the world. And with that being said, man, y'all know how to get with me. Peace, light, and illumination.